Hi, Speech 1315, and welcome to Chapter 14 of our textbook, Public Speaking for College Career, where we are going to discuss delivering the speech. So what is the key to good delivery? It is a strong desire to communicate with the audience members. I've said it in a couple of videos. The whole premise of your speech is about connecting with your audience members. And when you have a strong desire to do that, you will end up most likely having a good delivery when you are presenting. But just to be on the safe side, let's discuss some of the methods of speaking, as well as get into the nitty-gritty details of how to present and deliver a speech well. So there's a couple of different methods of speaking. The first one is memorization. This is where you memorize a script or you memorize a document and then present it orally to a group of individuals. Actors, a lot of times they do memorization. They're acting and they use memorization to help them present. Then there's a manuscript where you are reading off of a document. Whereas memorization, you don't have a document in front of you. Whereas with the manuscript, you do have a document in front of you. You don't have to memorize anything because essentially it's all going to be right in front of you. I also like to think of presidential debates because a lot of times they'll have teleprompters and they're reading off of a manuscript. So that's a method of publicly presenting as well. Impromptu is where this is totally on the fly. Again, you'll hear actors sometimes talk about how that was totally off cuff or they went impromptu. And this is where there's no script, there's no direction. They're just freeing it all, freewheeling it all. And they are, just letting things flow the way they feel like they should flow. Then there's extemporaneous. This is a conversational like speech. This is where someone has prepared an outline. This is where they have practiced it and they are giving it extemporaneously in a conversational like tone. What I am doing with you here right now is an extemporaneous speech. I have reviewed these slides. I have done many years of study to be credible to speak on this topic. And I'm talking in a very conversational like tone. I'm not reading off of a manuscript. I didn't memorize this. And what people end up liking is that extemporaneous feeling where it feels more like a conversation, especially when it comes to public speaking. When you are delivering your speech, it's really important to be mindful of your voice. So when it comes to your voice, you need to be aware of volume. You don't want to be yelling, and you don't want to be so soft that nobody can hear you. You also want to speak with clarity, and the way you can do this is through articulation. But you also want to have some expressiveness. And this means you don't want to be monotone. You want some fluctuation in your voice. And that is all important in helping your audience members be attracted to listening to you and for you to deliver a speech well. But not only does your voice matter, your nonverbals matter. So what you wear, your personal appearance, impacts the way you are perceived by others in the audience. So where are you giving this speech at? Are you at the park on a hot summer day where it's like 110 degrees? Or are you in a nice auditorium in front of esteemed academics? That'll probably impact what you wear, right? So context really matters. Your audience members really matters. So personal appearance matters. Eye contact also matters. Where are you making eye contact with people? I have this, I heard this tip, it's called painting the room. So if you look out into a room, there's 4 corners, right? Think of it as like a box or a picture. And you want to make eye contact with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 pieces. So with each corner and someone in the center. If you make eye contact with someone in the top corner, the bottom corner, the center, the upper corner, and the bottom corner, you will have painted the room with your eyes and you will have made people feel seen. Your facial expressions matter. It's important to smile. It's important to, furrow your brow at the right moment. And so facial expressions communicate a lot because even if you're not listening to what the person says, you can probably tell what they're feeling based on their facial expressions. And then finally, posture. You want to have your shoulders back. You want to be standing up straight tall. You don't want to be hunched over or hiding behind the podium because all of these things communicate something to our audience members. So your nonverbals matter. Also, your movement. And what I mean by this is how you move around the room. In many courses, you'll be asked to watch TED Talks. I have done a TED Talk, and something I didn't realize, but now once I tell you, you're going to notice it in probably every TED Talk video. There's a big red dot on the stage. Surprise, not really a surprise. But if you notice, none of the speakers are allowed to move outside of the red dot. So that impacts movement, right? But if you notice, it's important to take up all of the space of that red dot with movement. I think they did that, honestly, because a lot of people have trouble with moving across a stage or an auditorium. I teach people on this. People have a hard time with cadence. Like, some people will think that they're moving, but they're not, because they're doing so many different things, right? So like when you're presenting, you may be thinking, oh, I need to, you're thinking about what you're going to say next. You're thinking about what you rehearsed. You're thinking about your appearance. You're thinking about all these different things. So sometimes walking will be like unconsciously done. And some people move really fast and some people move slow back and forth across a room. And then it can look like pacing. So your movement matters, because if you start pacing, you're going to make your audience members feel nervous, but you want a nice cadence. I would say movement is one of the more top tier levels of like delivery that I work with clients. Like, that is a harder, not top tier, but it's more of like a difficult concept that we tackle later on when I work with them. Nonverbal communication. Are you using notes? How are you holding the notes? Are they down? Are you looking at them the whole time and not looking at your audience members? So using your notes can also impact your nonverbal communication. And then finally, gestures. Do you have big gestures all over the screen? Because if you do, and you don't know what you do with your hands, it can also make people nervous. So being comfortable and confident can also impact how you move your hands and gestures. Confidence is displayed all throughout your nonverbals. And the more you present and the more you practice, the more confident you will be. And it shows. And I just remember to never apologize for being nervous before or after your speech or anywhere within your speech, because people can't read it on you. But I'll also counter that and say, sometimes you can tell when someone's nervous, and it's because it shows through their nonverbals. So be mindful of that when delivering your speech. How you handle the approach in the beginning, as well as the ending and the departure, also really matter. So how do you walk up to the podium? How do you walk up to the front of the room to present? How do you close it out? Do you shrug your shoulders and say, oh, like, that's it, like, peace out, have a great day? That communicates something as much as saying, thank you so much for coming to this presentation today. I really look forward to your feedback and any questions you may have. Totally two different endings. My nonverbals were different in both of them. So your approach and your ending matter when it comes to your nonverbal delivery. At the end of most speeches, you have a question and answer period. The way you prepare for this is through planning. So you may need to be mindful of objections people may have, or just general questions that may come up, because sometimes the time you're allotted won't give you the opportunity to discuss those topics. So the question and answer period is a great way to address some of people's concerns. You can also have field questions. I also say that I think that you should get with a group of friends and maybe practice by presenting in front of them and see what questions they have. Because if they have those questions, it may be possible that the people you present in front of may also have those questions. It's also important to practice. So delivery doesn't matter unless you practice it. So you want to start early. I had this one professor tell me that for every 3 minutes for every minute of a speech, you need 3 hours of prep or practice. And so if you think of a 5-minute speech, it should be 15 hours of prep and practice, which seems like a lot, but if you really think about it, between researching and outlining and everything, like, that can really impact how you stand up on stage. And I didn't believe it when this professor told me it, but I did a speaking event near the end of my college career. And I had it was about a 7-minute speech. And I think before the big day or the competition, I had done, let me see, Yeah, I'd probably put in about 10 or 11 hours of practice. And I went to the auditorium to work on my cadence and my movement across the stage. And I was like, oh, it'll be like 30 minutes, no big deal. And then I'll like head out of here. And I was there for like so many more hours. And I looked back on the event, and the amount of time I put into it was about 3 hours per minute that I had presented. So, and that's what helped me get to that confidence stage. Everybody's different, obviously, but practice is important. I say practice at least 4 times the speech all the way through. Some people just have a feeling of they're like, nope, I got it, and they can move on. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it takes less. So practice at least 4 times. Practice ideas, not words. I mentioned this in a previous lecture on wording, but how you word something in an outline is not going to be the same way that you say it in your speech. And when you present, the way you say something may not be the same over and over and over and over again unless you memorize your speech. And so you want to practice ideas, not words. During the practice stage, it's also important for you to trim anything that's unnecessary. So this is a great time for you to assess, okay, I have a 5 to 7 minute speech I have to give, and I keep hitting 10 minutes. What can I cut, right? And this is a great time for you to trim. And then also, like I said, visit the room that you're going to be presenting in to practice. This will also help with your ability to deliver and kind of get into that mindset of presenting. How to speak in front of a camera, how to deliver in front of a camera. You want to dress conservatively. You don't want to expose anything like cleavage. You just want to be dressed appropriately. I've had people send in videos with their shirts off laying in bed. That's not very conservative. So you just want to dress appropriately. I always say business casual, you can't go wrong with it, whether you're in person or on Zoom. You also want to choose your background. I tend to usually like a clear white background or kind of a living room feel. As you can see, I have a piano in the background and a large stick and something else. To some, this may be distracting. For me, I am in the middle of moving, and this is the video that I made. We are in the middle of unpacking, so that's in the background right now. But also adopt a relaxed, confident posture. As you can see, I have my hand up. I'm kind of leaning a little bit back. I'm not rigid and upfront. But you want to adopt a relaxing, confident posture like you know what you're talking about. When you're producing a video, you want to pay attention to lighting. Many of us have grown up in the world of TikTok and video creation and content creation. Lighting is super important. You want natural light. I'm in front of 2 huge windows right now. So I'm getting that natural light. I do have a stand that I typically put up, but like I said, it's boxed right now, and I'll have a big light on me. You also want to consider the camera angle. If I had it too far up and you were looking down, or if, you know, I was looking down at you camera angle wise, that can impact the delivery of the video. You also want to make sure the camera's stable. So you don't want your friend holding the camera. You want either a tripod or you want a laptop that's on a sturdy desk to present. And then as usual, we end with some tips for your career. Tip 1 is decide whether and how to use a lectern. A lectern is basically just a microphone that you clip on, and so that people can hear you. But be prepared, not all lecterns are made the same. And so it's good to understand where your natural voice levels are. So for example, I tend to naturally speak louder. So the lectern, I may need to turn some dials down, because if it's placed right here, it may seem like I'm screaming at people. Whereas someone else, it may be the perfect volume. So decide whether and how to use a lectern. And then tip 2, deal with distractions in a direct but good humored manner. What I like to sometimes do when I'm practicing is I will ask my friends when I'm practicing with them, just a couple of them, I'll say, at some point, I want one of you to have a timer go off or some type of distraction. And this helps me not lose track or get used to said distractions without having to start over. And this will be great for your career, because When you get into the boardroom and you are presenting, a lot of times there will be distractions. You may need to cut off the presentation midway. You may need to take an hour presentation and consolidate it down to 10 minutes because the CEO was running late because they had a previous meeting. So you need to be willing to deal with distractions in a good humored manner. With that being said, thank you for watching this video, and please email me if you have any questions about how to deliver a speech. Have a great day. Bye.